This is fucking ridiculous. It says it's fucking live. It's not communicating. This is dumb. This is absolutely dumb. Oh my god. This should be working. It says it's working. Why is it not fucking working? Holy shit. Oh wait, is it working? Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Line in, mic in. Audio is on, stream is working. Yes. Okay, so you guys can hear me. Perfect. All right. Sorry about that. I pretty much scheduled the thing and I hit live and everything over here said it was live, but everything over there said it was not live. So, yes. You know, FML, okay, so you guys... Perfect. Well, guys, this is Jason Bytes Back, episode numero 62. That is Spanish for 62, just in case you are not familiar with that. Yes, I have always done my Jason Bytes Back on the 1st. However, I have been extremely busy, somewhat overwhelmed, but a lot of stuff. I had a camping trip that happens once a year, so that took up a lot of time, focus, effort to get all that done, and it wiped out an entire weekend for me. On top of that, I am in the middle of a heated battle with a wife who has way more money than me and can basically overwhelm me with unnecessary requests to for the sole purpose of racking up lawyer charges in an attempt to drown me. So I've been dealing with that and all the other stuff. It's just been freaking hectic. So 3-day weekend today. I was able to mow my lawn, get a bunch of things cleaned up, unpacked from last weekend. So I am definitely making some progress. I do got a lot of things in line that I need to wrap up and just, you know, record the video for and then edit that and get that uploaded. So I figured the best possible way that I could kind of get everything going today was going to be with a live stream to make things just a little bit faster on my end, a little bit more streamlined, and here we are. So earlier in the last stream, Nate, I noticed you donated $20 and mentioned shots. I would like to clarify to everybody in the chat. First of all, Nate, thank you for the $20. Today, I'm not drinking shots. I am drinking some beer. I'll take a few drinks for shots, but in reality, I'm not getting hammered. My stomach cannot handle it. I went on my trip last weekend, drank 6 beers and maybe 2 shots, and I had like a heartburn thing going on for like 3 days. So, you know, the older you get, the worse everything gets. Welcome to getting old. That's basically where I am right now. So I'm going to drink some beer and keep it pretty light. Scott Locke, aka Liquid, a new donation is happening. Actually, first of all, thank you. Go to bed, Liquid. It's way past your bedtime. Second of all, okay, I just saw the pop-up. That is all from New Year's. Do apologize. I don't even know if those audio clips are working, but at least you get to see the stupidness pop up. So there's that. Where was I starting? Okay, so Jason Bytes Back, episode number 62. I'm going to dump. This is like last minute. I just finished mowing and showering and just getting, you know, ready, cleaned up. And then I spent the last 10 minutes. So finding questions. So you're going to have to just, I don't know, just kind of deal with it, I guess. Here's Yeah, moving on. Here's the first question that I want to go on. Actually, we got a $9.99 from Bryce Berg. Lawyer money. Thank you very much. I like that. You know, it's not drinking money, but hey, I haven't taken a beer yet tonight, so I'll take some drinks on the beer. Yeah, let's just go with that. Everything earned today is just going to be aimed towards the war chest of fighting this stupid thing. So sorry if you guys don't know about what's going on, but I am going through all that shit. And if you guys do know what's going on, you heard it too much, I do apologize as well. But hey, it is a significant part of my life, and it is an uphill battle with somebody who is on a crusade to basically take anything that I hold dear away from me, just out of spite. So that's where we are. So first question. This is actually going to be from the battery teardown, and because all of this was done in haste, I did not go through and set up like a screen thing to show you the questions. But the first question is from the battery teardown. Kyle, he said that is not how a transformer works. You cannot connect low voltage DC to one side and get high voltage AC from the other side. Well, Kyle, I speak from personal experience. I went on a mission of different versions of taking the transformer from like an alarm clock and hooking up like 4A batteries or 9-volt or all kinds of things, little switches. I got all super technical with the damn thing, and I know that I shocked people. I'm not saying it's high voltage AC. I'm just saying it's AC. It's enough to make somebody's hand jump. So I don't care what you think you know, but I know it works. Maybe I got the terminology wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's a transformer. All I know, it's that box. I used that box and it worked. So you're wrong. I know it works. That's all I got to say. I just wanted to open up with that. So I have very fond memories of doing exactly what you say doesn't work. I think you're maybe caught on the whole high voltage AC, but it's not. It's just a low voltage AC that makes people jump on their muscles. So let's see. Let's go ahead and take a look at the chat real quick. Sounds like excuses. Absolutely. My life is full of excuses. I am not for murder, but it's a lot cleaner than a divorce. No, that is not on the table. That is no. That's how people go to jail. That's ridiculous. People disappear all the time. No. Can you not cuss? Derek and Tiffany Kelly. I will try not to cuss, but shit, I do it all the time. So that's just, I am a very crude, uneducated person, so that's where we are. Big Spoon, $6.69. Giggity. Oh yeah, I'll go with that. Hey Jason, I like your eyebrows. Is that sarcastic? I have crappy eyebrows. Inverter is what you are trying to say. Inverter, whatever. Best eyebrows in business. Okay, so moving on to the next question. Guys, I want to say thank you for joining. Sorry I'm not getting hammered. I usually do. I always feel obligated to at least provide something for donations, but just keep that in mind. Don't donate because I'm not giving you, shots in return. So that's where we are right now. Next question is actually from an older video where I said I tried Pi-hole for the first time on a DNS ad blocker. Very interesting results. Stupid cat. The question was, used to make good videos lately. It's been very poor. You suck. Yeah, I'll give you that. Next question is from that E-Infinite combo kit, the worst power station I have ever tested. Donation. Yes, it sucked. Yes, later I took it apart and basically threw away the parts, with the exception of like the little batteries. But that was one of the worst power stations I ever reviewed. So it looks to me like they are not selling it on the URL you provided, which is funny. I haven't tested that, but if it's true, I know they're having some domain issues, but if it was true, they actually emailed me. They're like, dude, take this down. I'm like, no, this sucks. Like, seriously, I can't get any results from this thing. And if this is a $200 or $300 device, I would understand some of the downfalls, but you're selling a premium priced device and it doesn't even have pure sine wave, and you can't run a fan on a campsite without getting grinding noise. So, there are just so many flaws with this battery. It is just what it is. I would not be surprised if maybe they took the same exact design and rebranded it. Because when I got that battery, before I destroyed it, I did research. I was like, okay, what have other people found? What have they said? I collect all of that information. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything vital. and I didn't find any information. So it is definitely one of those unknown names that it is possible that a bad review that uses that same name is going to ruin the possibility of that product being any kind of profitable, like somewhat successful. So I doubt that they just stopped and gave up on it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they changed the name or just kind of moved away from that or whatever, change some of their links, etc. So maybe I should go back and look for it again, see if there's any updated links, and try to make sure that people know where not to get it from. But for that price, $500 to $700 for a 600 watt, not even a pure sine, but like a modified wave, it did not make sense. It is absolutely stupid. So, I like making positive reviews, but on the flip side, if I get a device and it completely sucks, and I know there's people out there that are going to waste their money on it because severely disappointed, I just feel like I have to say something, at least, show my results. I might not be the best, might not be the most educated, but real world experiences when it comes to stuff like this, I just got to try at least, share what I have found. So, real quick, let's go back to these, or over here. Yeah, let's go back to the comments or the donations. FBI Steve, aka Americano's Worth, will you ever look at Jellyfin? Also, what is a secret of how you glow in the dark? The secret is never take your shirt off outside. That's the secret. Second, for Jellyfin, it's on the back burner. I'm not against it. I believe in convenience, and I think Plex and really kind of MB now has the convenience of connecting your accounts online and allowing you to just easily share your content with your friends or family members without jumping through a bunch of hoops. And last time I checked, Jellyfin does take a few hoops to jump through, so it's not out of the question. However, it is on the back burner. It's something that, I would maybe check out later. So Bryceberg, $4.99. How have you liked Starlink? Looking to get it for my schoolie? I'm interested in some light gaming on the road. What in the freaking world is a schoolie? I don't think I've ever heard that word before. Schoolie. I love Starlink. Both times I've been able to borrow it and put it to test, and I even had my cousin purchase it to put it at his lake house, which he's like, has really good service with it. I think it's only went down like one time, and that was just because they changed their plans for roaming, and it was definitely outside of the roaming range that we originally purchased it from. So overall, it's really great. Also, if you're gaming on the road, like if it's an RV, they have a more expensive version that's RV capable, that is a little bit more mobile, not going to get destroyed by driving. Just overall, Starlink has been a really great experience every time I've used it. So there's your answer. I eventually, one day, assuming I don't lose everything, I'm definitely going to have Starlink as a backup internet. Like, that's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So that's where I'm at right now. FBI Steve, shots, $2. Take some drinks. Which, hey, by the way, guys, for all the fellow Yanks out there, happy 4th of July weekend. I personally am just trying to get a bunch of stuff done in the basement, like everything. I got videos. I got a lot of stuff to do, including mowing lawn today, so I'm not really going to be going out and doing too much. Plus, I hate the crowd of July 4th. It's just absolutely insane. So not really my scene. Schoolie is a school bus to RV conversion. Okay. So RV Life, that goes back to the Starlink. They do have an RV version. They do have an RV version of the Starlink, which is going to be more compatible. So if you're going to go that route, I would definitely recommend looking at that, unless you plan on only gaming when you stop. But even then, I don't really know. I think that RV thing is really just for mobile, because that device that you have, you screw down, it has motors and it kind of keeps everything in line. I don't really think it's meant for 70, 80 mile an hour wind, which is why they came out with an RV version of it to be a little bit more durable. So I would definitely look at that. But if you are just wanting to go slap a satellite internet outside of your school bus whenever you park, regular Starlink might be your deal. Just keep in mind, it's $110 a month, and they just recently started $30 roaming fees if you try to use it out like too far outside of the original registered address of which you purchased it, which is what happened to my cousin. So just keep that in mind. It's fantastic service, super fast. Gaming is even possible. I did really decent on most games on Overwatch with very little lag. There's a few times, but for the most part, it performed really well. I highly recommend it. What's the backup internet for? Just curious, Matt Weaver. So I have Cox Communications as my cable provider, and unfortunately, they're just not reliable. It seems like they either take it down for technical difficulties or upgrades. I want to say it feels like once a month, maybe twice a month. Maybe it's only 2 times a month. It just hits me really hard. But like my servers and like my shit will be down during the day for hours at a time, which cripples me if I'm trying to get things done and access the internet. So having that backup internet, especially if you can just have it automatically switch over, is a big deal. So that's like one of those things that you don't use very often. You might even be able to take it with you to travel if you hook it up right and it's easily, disassembled and then relocated just for traveling. But it's really just it's a luxury that I do not need, but I want to be online all the time. We got a couple more donations here, but I'm gonna go ahead and go to the next question here, which is actually more Starlink shit. It's actually from Starlink Ethernet as backup. Worth it or nah? If you guys are not familiar, basically what I did was I borrowed the Starlink internet before my camping trip with the anticipation of hooking that Starlink internet up to a secondary router and then providing internet from anywhere between 30 to 50, maybe 60 people. Ultimately, I only had, I think, a maximum concurrent users of 32 people, but I'm really glad that I used the secondary router because other routers have more RAM. They have the one that I use has more antennas, and it's definitely more capable of handling those more people, which, by the way, I got like 4 megabits per second once I had all those people. Doesn't matter. I digress. The question is, why did you run the cable through the screen instead of just drilling through the wall? Well, that is really what comes down to a temporary install to run a 20-minute test because I wanted to hook it up to my main network with everything inside, like unplug my main ISP and hook that up. And I wanted to see, if I could do certain things, like if things were accessible from outside the network, if port forwarding was an issue. Like, I just wanted to run some very basic functionality tests just for the future potential of running it as backup internet. Because the last thing I would want to do is hook up Starlink, run it as backup internet, then have to rely on it, and then realize it doesn't actually provide me the same services that I need for whatever reason. So that was not a permanent install because if you're watching, the dude of which who allowed me to borrow this now twice, thank you very much. It was just temporary. After that, went into a box and I took it to my camping trip. So in the end, if I get this for backup internet, I will absolutely be installing it. Not necessarily the right way, but at least a better way. So before I get to the next question, let's go ahead and tackle. I think we've got a couple more donations. Spoon, you got to calm down. You have a baby. So you need to calm down. FBI Steve says Christmas crowd equals carolers. 1st of July crowd equals tweakers. Okay. Well, not here in Wichita, but first the 4th of July crowd brings a bunch of people who are just completely oblivious to their surroundings. They don't give a crap about anybody else's convenience. They will drive on the road like idiots. They will stand in lines like idiots. They literally are just people being selfish and they don't care about anybody else. So, and there's just a bunch of them. So that's what I don't like about the 4th of July crowd. It's just, just common dislike of people. I'm going to go with that. So, Big Spoon, talk about Starlink and Mantrip on your networking. How did it go? It went really well. So like I said before, Spoon, I think I had like 32 or 40 people, concurrently on it, not all of which really stressing it out. And I did run into some issues where basically where I hooked it up, I try to get it outside of the trees, like the satellite. I try to get it outside of the trees to have as clear view to the sky as possible. But the Starlink does kind of readjust itself based off of signal quality and the satellites moving, stuff like that. So it does drop in speed. Plus, you need about 12 hours of a satellite internet or a satellite to really, not a satellite, but a dish to sit in a specific place in order to kind of judge its surroundings and knowing where it can and cannot move. So it optimizes its speed over the period of 12 hours. As far as handling it, though, like I said before, I was getting like 3 to 5 megabits per second whenever we were hitting like high load. When I was at low load, like 10 people, for example, I was getting, 20, 30, 40 megabits per second, even when it was, there were some trees and stuff under the way. So compared to what we had out there, a lot of people, like if you have T-Mobile or just some lower, class, whatever, like phone service, you have nothing. If you have Verizon, you have 1 bar if you're sitting in the right area. So when it came to what people had versus the Starlink service, it was definitely probably one of the better things as far as just people settling down for the night, using the internet and enjoying it. So that was kind of cool. Plus, moving forward, when it comes to those camping trips, sometimes there's fights on, pay-per-view, boxing. We've done that before in the past, sports games, things like that, things that are really important that might fall on the same day. So it's good to know that Starlink can come in and allow me to stream those, maybe hook up a projector or TV or just whatever, and just be able to stream those and have the speed to do it, rather than trying to put like a phone on top of a tent or camper to have the angled best service and just hope that it works and hope that you don't run out of bandwidth. So last one before I move on to the next one. Have you ever considered doing any, that's not a donation, but have you ever considered doing any videos on home DNS server combos such as Pi-hole stream cache on Unraid? Never even heard of that before. And or looking at such thing as Xfinology. Nope, never heard of that before, so I'm going to go with no. Okay, next question. This is on the video that I posted whenever ago. It says Unraid. 1 year later, my thoughts from the user WSV. He said, everyone really neglects Windows servers, can pretty much do anything, and no one pays for Windows. I actually kind of agree. Like when it comes to usability, ease of use, just, double clicking something, getting it installed, not really have to worry about anything geeky, not to mention remote desktop management, especially if you use services like AnyDesk, or if you want to pay for TeamViewer or PC remote support, whatever, like all those little things where you can just connect anywhere, manage your Windows server, run it, not have a big issue. You don't want to learn a new system. Windows is where it's at. It really is a powerful operating system. And I ran Windows for years when it went on for a Plex media server before I evolved to something like Unraid. And it really is a powerful thing. And when it comes to just the common person wanting to jump into media servers, but not wanting to get into Unraids and all that other stuff, FreeNAS, whatever, it's a great starting point. My only thing with Windows, especially if you're running like Windows 10 Pro, for example, is going to be the file redundancy. So, for example, I have Blue Iris on a Windows build, and I can't do like RAID 5, right? That's like a server feature. Like you have to get alternative software in order to get something similar to software RAID 5 set up. So you're kind of risking, unless you're just running straight up JBOD, which is just a bunch of disk, you're kind of risking data loss more so than what you would gain with something like a FreeNAS system or an Unraid system where you can set up those redundancies. It's literally built into the platform. It's the whole reason why operating systems like that exist. Yes, you have to learn a little bit more. Yes, it might be a little bit more complicated and more or less dedicates that whole machine to that. However, you can set up some remote management for Unraid. You can set up some port forwarding, although got to make sure you take care of your security. You can still do all that remote managing and everything. And if you're willing to learn, having the parity drives to back up your data, to make sure, or not back up, but to make sure you have parity on your data, and you can lose 1 or 2 drives before you really lose any data. There are just a lot of benefits to learning that new system. However, Windows is definitely great to start off with. So I have absolutely no arguments with that whatsoever. Go back to this real quick. Have you ever considered getting Verizon Home 5G internet as a secondary connection, mainly for faster uploads since Xfinity has shitty uploads? I have considered, actually, not necessarily Verizon, but I've considered, I think it's T-Mobile has that 5G service, but service in my area is not really that good. I haven't really looked at Verizon for the home internet because they have those pucks and they're just, you have to kind of go out of your way to get them to work. I don't know if they have, Verizon has the home service, wireless, like 5G or whatever. But I've considered it, and I look at it like this. What happens if a power goes out, their generators and backup batteries go out, and then your cell service is down, whatever? This is stupid, and I have no reason behind this, but it's like satellite's still out, and I got power. So I have internet, you know? That's never happened. That's a series of events that's never happened, but the time it does happen, if I have Starlink internet backup and my own power, it'd be amazing. Just saying. I might even stick an access point on the roof and be like, yo, use my Starlink internet while you guys are without power or any service. I'm just saying, that would be cool. It may never happen, but it's a thing. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for the zombie apocalypse where Starlink still works. Okay, that's a little extreme. Where was I at? Oh yeah, I gotta scroll all the way down. For some reason, scroll all the way up. OpenSense is where it's at. Wish Windows ZFS was a thing. Absolutely. If Windows supported ZFS, like just putting software ZFS on it, which they won't, but if they did, actually, they were adopting some Linux stuff. So who knows? It might be an add-on. Windows ZFS would be actually pretty cool. That would really open it up to the common, like enthusiast that maybe wants the convenience of some Windows remote management and stuff like that. So that'd be pretty cool. Ever use Open Media Vault? Absolutely not. Windows blows. Absolutely agree. Back FBI Steve, do you play any games other than Overwatch? Not intentionally. I did play Crusader Kings, I think. Crusader Kings. It's like a very slow role-playing game. Took way more hours than I like to admit, but it's a generational thing. So you like raise a generation, you like have wives, and you do, king stuff, and then your people die, and then you that was kind of cool if you're in a slow, like, strategy game, stuff like that. That was kind of cool. But as far as any fast-paced Call of Duty, things like that, I really don't get into any of those. I like Overwatch specifically because it's not a rifle pointed at something that you have to be accurate with. You can vary what you want to do. So if you want to be a tank, throw up a shield like Reinhardt and just, carry your team into the whatever. Or if you want to be a healer, right? You don't really have to aim. So that's why I like Overwatch, because it gives me a variety of different play styles, and I really don't pick, one specific character. I just kind of fluctuate. So that's why I like it. I used to play Mario Kart. That's about it. Could always use the RAID controller for Windows instead of doing software RAID. I don't have enough experience with hardware RAID controllers. I have heard some horror stories about those RAID controllers going bad, and then if you don't have a replacement, whatever. I'm not even going to talk out my ass on that, but I've heard some horror stories on that. So I'm just going to avoid the rest of that, and I think that's good. 39 viewers. See, this is why I did a late night stream, because I figured everyone's going to be in bed. It's the 4th of July weekend. I ain't got to worry about a bunch of people. And I thought I would have less questions. Anyways, next question is, this is from the 5 first Plex media server build mistakes video. He said, hands down, Unraid is the best operating system to run Plex on. I kind of understand where you're coming from on this. And I'm looking at it more of like hard drive longevity, right? So with the Unraid, it has essentially just a bunch of disks set up. However, they have one or two parity drives that just kind of make sure that everything has parity to it. But with like ZFS, with TrueNAS, stuff like that, it's like a standard RAID, like where it spins up every single drive. Every single drive is working to access or read or write data. It's faster, it's more usable in terms of the speed. But when it comes to Unraid, as long as you understand that Unraid is not a speed demon, Unraid is not going to allow you to copy files to it at some crazy extreme rate. Unraid is just a low-key, chill, like Plex media server that's like, hey, I want to access this video file. Well, I'm going to spin up drive number 14. I'm going to read that media file, and I'm going to leave all your other drives alone. It's easy to set up Dockers. It's easy to configure up dedicated cache drives, unassigned drives, etc. It's very powerful software. I definitely enjoy it. It is just not a speed demon. But when it comes to a Plex media server, you don't need a speed demon. If you have a proper iGPU or GPU doing your transcoding, aside from trying to do huge file dumps to it, you're really not going to notice any issues with the speed. You're going to be able to serve every file that you want to without any issues. It's more of a mass, slow storage that is able to hit all the needs that you need to be a media server. And that's why I still use it. So also FreeNAS to me is, because I don't have that much experience with it, is somewhat complicated. Unraid is just easy. Do I have any other donations? Hope not. Perfect. I do not. Okay. Next question is from Sable Aura. Sable Aura. A-U-R-A. Aura. Sable Aura. Can you run a Synology Plex server on Starlink? I gotta be honest, I don't know about the Synology thing specifically. And the reason why I say that is because when I plugged in for my testing purposes, I plugged in everything to my home network. I had Unraid running on that. And I only did one test where I had my phone in LTE mode. So it was accessing from outside the internet. And I was able to connect successfully to my Unraid. Wow. To my Unraid server remotely. I was able to transcode, have no issues. It connected just fine. Everything just kind of just went, right? From my understanding, Starlink kind of has like their own overlord subnet thing going on, right? Because IPs are in short supply and they plan on giving everyone in the world internet as soon as possible. So IPs, there's just not enough IPs out there. So from my understanding, they have their own kind of base routers to where you're more or less, no matter how you have it set up, are always running through a double NAT, even though the first layer NAT from Starlink is super open and it's not very restrictive. So it's not like standard double NAT in your house. But I was able to run in the very limited testing from my Unraid server Plex without any issues. As far as Synology, I don't foresee it being any different from an Unraid, but yes, for me it worked. I'll give you that. The next one, it says, how much do you need to have both regular internet service and Starlink services as a backup? The monthly cost seems insane just for the internet. Well, that really varies. I mean, with Cox Internet, I get the fastest speed that I could possibly get. It's still crappy because it only has 35 megabytes up, but it is 1 gig down. I also pay for the extended bandwidth or unlimited bandwidth, which is a complete scam. So they don't charge me overages, which I'm not even going to get into that, but it's a complete scam. I even pay for that. So that's $170, $180 a month just for Cox Internet. When I get into Starlink, that's going to be at least another $110, $120, whatever, after taxes and they increase it, whatever. So what are you looking at? $290, let's say $300 in internet service? A little stupid. I really don't like that you put these numbers out there and make me think through it logically when I could just say, yes, do it and deal with the consequences later. Anyways, next, moving on. What do we have? The next donation is from Christors DKK20. I don't know what that means. What is DKK? Just DKK20. I have no idea what that means. But hey, thank you for the donation. I don't know how much that is, or what currency slash country that's from, but thank you very much. I appreciate that. MDH. I'm having a hard time choosing a case for Unraid as well. I'm looking at the Define R7, which wasn't so huge, but it comes with wanting that many drives. That's a hard thing. Like, there's a lot of cases out there that have a lot of internal storage. Like, one of my favorite cases was the Cosmos 2 for storage. Was it the Cosmos 2? Anyways, had a bunch of storage. It had top storage that you can add on. Then it had bottom storage that had fans on it. And all of those were not hot swap. You'd actually have to take it apart. But it really, like, it's a hard choice because you really have to, like, figure out, do I want hot swap? In which case, you'd want to go online to eBay. You'd want to look for, you know, old repurposed, like, things that were, you know, retired from companies, like file servers that have the pull-out trays that make it hot swappable. Although that might limit you to some of the hardware you can put into it. You'd have to, you know, get creative with power supplies, things like that. There is also a Roswell case that allows you to do 2, 3, 4. I want to say 15 or 13. I think 15 different external drives that are hot swappable. However, I've had that same case as well. The backplanes on those do not last very well, so that's kind of a setup. So I agree. It's kind of a rough choice, but it all depends on whether or not you want hot swappability, or if you just want a cool looking case sitting on the floor, if you want rack mountable, etc. I still like the Roswell case, even with its flaws. I still like it. It's Danish kroner. It's $2.80 USD. Hey, that's fine. I just didn't know what the currency was. So thank you for the donation. Next question is from Big Spoon. He said, I am guessing the speeds will be slow as AF as more people join. I think I already talked about that. But yeah, I was up in that 40 range and it was getting slowed down. But compared to what was out there with cell phone service, it was an absolute godsend because people could actually get online. They could post their photos and the Snapchats and get on Facebook, especially during the end of night when people are like completely burnt out from hanging out at the river, surfing, and staying in the 100-some+ degree weather, sun, and you just want to go back to camp and chill, sit around in a circle, drink a little bit, converse with the other people, and that's where people start picking up their phone. They start browsing and doing things, and if you're cut off from the internet, maybe it's for the better, maybe it's not, but I enjoyed providing that extra service, especially because I didn't have to pay for it. That was cool. Okay. Plex versus MB, transcoding showdown. This is the another question. I moved to MB after almost 10 years on Plex. I hate the Plex direction and all of their crap. That's really fair, I think. I think it was either last Jason Bytes Back or the last one or the one before that where I kind of sort of got into the whole Plex directional thing and how I kind of sort of maybe didn't agree with some of their choices. First of all, I have absolutely no sponsorships with Plex anymore. They fired me because I am not the person they want on their anyways, so they fired me and I still believe in Plex. I still use Plex and I have nothing against Plex, but I am also a realist and I try to look at everything from every angle. And as I've said before, even before they fired me, some of their directions have confused me, but some of their directions have made sense in terms of a company that is trying to legitimize themselves, trying to make sure they stay under any kind of regulatory or lawsuits or anything like that. They want to stay out of the crosshairs of big movie businesses and things like that. So a lot of their directions, like the free TV, ad-supported TV, the weird login screen that for some reason makes you jump through 15 different windows just to go to their Plex.tv website and then log in, which annoys the freaking crap out of me. they have been making a few changes that kind of feel like they're moving in a direction of which I do not agree with. So, but they are trying to look more legitimate in the common space where they can say, hey, we are a service. We offer these. You can watch ads. We have agreements. Everything's kosher. And by the way, kind of here in the dark corner of what we used to be, we got people who may or may not have obtained their content properly. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. So I feel like they're trying to legitimize themselves, which I'm completely okay with. What I don't agree with are the big moves like Plex Arcade. That was the dumbest thing to me, and I try to be so nice when I talked about it, but I still said I don't agree with it. So there are certain things like that they make a decision on, they move forward, and it's like, why are you wasting your time? You could be optimizing, you could be doing things on the Plex Media server for the people who actually care about the Plex Media server and what its root values are that could be beneficial to them to keep them happy. Not throwing another feature out there that nobody wants to use. And the proof was in the pudding when you canceled them. Just throwing that out there. So no hate, just acknowledgement. Next question. Already got that one loaded up. Make sure there's no other donations here. I want to go through here. Yes, technically speaking, aka Nate, I'm not taking shots. I'm casually drinking a few beers because I have no desire to get hammered tonight. I'm sorry. This is not New Year's. Just know it. Perfect. All right. Next question is, this was on the video where I said 5 ways to optimize your Plex media server. He asked, is RAM transcoding recommended with 8 gigabytes of RAM? Shadab. His name is Shadab. Shadab Faz. Anyway, 8 gigabytes of RAM is more than enough to run Plex. However, if you want to use Plex RAM transcoding, you might run into some issues depending on your usage. So how many people are you looking to share with? How many transcoding streams are going to have at the same time? Like literally the variable here is your usage. What are your file types? Are you transcoding 4K down to somebody on their cell phone? What that is pulling 4 megabits per second, in which case, not a good idea. Here's how it works. Every time you transcode with a graphics card, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to use, or I want to move forward with like an integrated graphics for my next server build. But if you're using a graphics card, a dedicated graphics card with VRAM, every time you initiate a Plex transcoded stream, at least as of 1 or 2 years ago, it pre-allocates a certain amount of RAM. So for really basic SD things, it could be 300 or 400 megabytes. If it's a nice high quality 1080p, it could be 1.1 to 1.5 gigabytes. If you're transcoding a 4K, you can be upwards of 2, 3, maybe 4 gigabytes. That is pre-allocated. That brings your graphics card to a standstill because not because of the processing power, but because of the available RAM and the pre-allocation that doesn't allow RAM to be more dynamic. However, if you're using like an iGPU and you're transcoding like not only the transcoded data, but you're using the iGPU, is going to better manage it. It's only going to use the RAM it's needed in order to use that integrated graphics. So that is why I think the integrated graphics is so much powerful. If you're using the 8 gigabytes of RAM for transcoding, and it's just as like the temporary transcoding directory, which most people used to put on an SSD, if that's what you mean, you might be finding yourself to have a hard time depending on your usage. You'd probably get away with it, but if it were me, I would try to at least bump it up to 8 or 16 gigs. You can get 16 gigs of just about any RAM for a very reasonable price online, and if you can get 16 gigs, I would go with that first. Obviously, the testing here, you got to test it, run it, see what kind of issues you run into, and see if it's even worth it. But if you are running into issues, 16 minimum. If you confront it, though, I would say 128 gigs. Because why not? Next question is after I open another beer. Oh my God, FBI Steve, you have a wife. Your wife's going to be so pissed you keep donating money. Just saying. Cyberpunk is going to come in here and murder you. He said $5. What is the best way to store TVs? I heard on the side of the best. The best way to store TVs would be to give them to Liquid and let his uncle move it into a studio. That way they can break it and put it on their side and crack it. That's the best way I've heard. But no, as he pointed out, there are definitely more structural points at the bottom of a TV. So if you have to store a TV, try to put it on the bottom. Although I do appreciate the smartass. That's a Discord thing, by the way. It's a joke. So Carlos says, would you recommend 1660s or UHD 63 QS for transcoding? Honestly, I'm not familiar with the transcoding on either one of those, so I can't say. I do know that if you go from a consumer card like 1660, which I don't know if the UHD, I don't know what that is, but if you go from like a consumer card to, let's say, an NVIDIA Quadro card, you're going to have a lot less issues with drivers, unlock streams, limitations of your streams, stuff like that, which is why I've always been really big into Quadros, just because of ease of use. How do I get my content to start playing faster from Guitar Snipe? That's actually a really great question with a bunch of variables. Hard to give you a static answer without knowing all of the variables here. Some of the key things that I would say is going to be the transcoding path. So like the previous question, he was asking about transcoding to RAM, which is one of the fastest way to transcode it. You set your temporary transcoder RAM. That is going to be one of the fastest ways. Second way you could do it is to transcode it to an SSD. So those are some of the biggest things. Mother. The Plex metadata is not necessarily going to help you a bunch with your transcoding, but it's going to speed up your overall Plex user experience, just because all those poster arts, you're going to have all that stuff. That is definitely something you want to upgrade no matter what. You can easily outgrow an SSD if you turn on thumbnails, just forewarning. But having that is definitely going to help. Aside from that, if you're using Unraid, you could use faster drives, like let's say 7,200 RPM drives across the board, which I don't recommend. But you could use faster drives. Or you could switch over to something like a TrueNAS system, which runs a ZFS system, and that inherently, just because all the drives are working together to provide faster service, is going to give you a better response time. So it's all about your transcoding path. Are you transcoding to RAM? Are you transcoding to an SSD? Where is that media location being served from? And the processing power of which you are utilizing to do the transcoding. If you have a beefy CPU or a beefy GPU, it's going to be able to handle it really well, overshoot it, you're going to have really fast starts. If you have integrated graphics, maybe not as fast starts, but depending on which one you have, could be some really good starts. So define the variables first before you ask a generalized question, but that should give you a starting point. Kiss Tours, another DKK, $50 or 50 DKKs. So I assume that's $5 total. Why should wife get mad? Why should my wife get mad? Oh, she's just on a fucking crusade to take anything and everything dear to me just to ruin me. Like she's the minimalistic person that has absolutely no desire for, goods in her life, but she wants to make sure, because that's what happens when you let your walls down and women know more about you. She wants to make sure she hurts me in any possible way she can. So mad? I don't know. Crusade, vengeful, and spiteful? Yeah, that's where we're at. Scott Lex says, I love your chair. Where can I get one like that? Is the Byte My Bits branded version available? Can I buy yours? First of all, Scott, thank you for the inside joke again. I hate this chair. The only purpose it serves is that it has a Byte My Bits logo on it. It's from Maxnomic, and I absolutely do not recommend getting it because even to this day, with all the time I've spent in this, the seating is still hard as a rock. It feels like I'm sitting on a piece of wood, and if I spend more than 30 minutes in this damn chair, my butt hurts. So stop bringing back old memories that make me cry inside because this is $500. Stupid. Oh, get mad at donating? I don't know why she would get mad at donating. In fact, she's probably sitting around fucking taking notes right now. Like, oh, I want 50% of that. So I don't think she's going to get mad. Oh, you're talking about America's. Oh, okay. So, FBI Steve, Americano's wife, is Cyberpunk. I'm just assuming his wife is going to get mad for throwing money at somebody on the internet. I've seen her throw knives and pans at him. Like, he is in a very abusive relationship. And if he didn't show up online one day, I would just assume that she murdered him. So that's where I'm going to go with. Next question is, this is from a video where I said I cut a giant hole in my house. Lewis asked, long-term review. It's kind of a random question on this, but so during my garage renovation, most people won't care, but I did add a fan that expels air at a somewhat decent volume. Honestly, when it comes to a long-term review on it, I don't use it that often, mainly because I have not taken the additional step of defining an air intake. It's really what it came down to. So whenever I turn on that fan, it pulled a lot of air, and it would pull in air from the cracks and crevices of the garage doors. And if I open up the door to go into my house, like it would just like, you open up the door and it just go boom, and it would slam. So until I can make an air intake that's going to make it a little bit better, which I don't even know where to put it, and/or I don't know if the thing with the wipe thing is going to, like, I haven't really addressed that anymore, so I'll be able to get a better long-term review possibly in the future. When it comes to what the air actually moves, the thing I liked most about this when I did use it is that if it was, just depending on the weather, if I cracked my garage door, like just a little bit, coming up this much, and where I could sit and work on things, especially during the night where I didn't want to pull in all the bugs, but the cool air was outside, like the way it flowed, and because I shut the door and turned on the exhaust fan, it was nice because it would pull in all that air underneath the garage. It would be nice, cool air in the super late evening or into the night, and then would exhaust out the top. So that is the best experience I've had with that fan. It has been really great on that aspect. But if you're going to do something like that, just recognize the CFM, it's going to pull air. You're going to have a negative air pressure no matter what you do, unless you have a dedicated air intake. So there's that. Scott Locke, aka Liquid Syphilis, says, I already did that. Fuck you, Liquid. You suck. Next question. This is going to be how the Plex media server works, the basics. It's an old video, by the way. I have no use for Plex because it's a paid subscription. If you want it to be useful, what are you even paying for? It's using my hardware and my storage and my internet. Well, G1 expert, I don't feel like you're an expert of the G1s. This goes back to the whole some feelings mixed whatever Plex, but here's what I have to say about that. When it comes to Plex, when it comes to MB, any of those that have a premium subscription that have dedicated their software development team to making applications that are cross-device compatible. Everything from your phone, your Android, your Shield TV, your Alexa device, like whatever. Like, it's made it compatible with all these different things. And in order to access your own data, or even to share access to your data with friends or family, it's literally just you log in, you share it, and then let's say your family member, they can log in and they see your server, right? It's the middleman cost. Yes, you're running your own hardware. Yes, you have your own internet. I mean, you're right. There's no question here. But you're paying for the convenience. If your only goal is to have a media server, like you can go back to, oh God, I forgot what it was called. Like Kodi, what Kodi used to do. DC or Ace. God, wow. Can't even think about what it is. But if you need a very basic service where you have to manually connect to your server, you have to manually type in IPs and IP forwardings, and you might not get the same transcoding experience. You might have to go through some major technical support to get some things to work. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Plex and the monthly subscription or the lifetime subscription, MB with the monthly subscription, the lifetime subscription options, those are all built specifically to allow those multiple apps to work flawlessly, seamlessly, and less headache than everything else. So you are paying for convenience. If you want to do the legwork yourself, absolutely. I just want to, I want to propose a question for yourself, G1 expert, right? If you have Plex and you maybe share with people, you maybe use it, it's $5 a month, right? I think it is. It's $5 a month. If you have to mess with it more than one time a month, how much time or how much money is your time worth? If you spend 2 hours configuring it to save yourself $5 that month, you are literally admitting to yourself that your time is worth so little money that you would rather do dumb legwork just for the principle of not paying a company a $5 service fee to manage all of that middleman stuff. So if that's what you're worth, that's fine. If you're only worth a couple bucks an hour, $1 an hour for whatever, that's up to you. But I don't think you are. So just consider that next time. Anything else? Anything else on these comments? I got a $5 donation from Slapaho. I like that one. What's the oldest NUC you would recommend for a Plex server with iGPU transcoding? Was thinking about Skull Canyon since they're so cheap now. Well, without doing research, I got to be honest with you. Without doing research, what is it called? The Intel Integrated Graphics 9000? I don't know. They start with the 10th gen Intel. That's the only one that I legitimately have really good experience with. Most of the other things that I've like had on my network or whatever, I've had before. They don't have integrated graphics. They required a GPU. So when it comes to actual real world experience where I think I could give you an educated answer for this, I just can't because I haven't tested them all. I do know that the 10th gen, the NUC that I ran freaking amazing. So I don't know what the costs are compared to maybe the 11th or 12th, whatever is coming out now. But if you get a 10th gen, it ran really good. You might have to make sure you throw 32 gigs worth of RAM into it to fully take advantage of that. But the 10th gen Intel NUCs are pretty freaking stout. So XBMC, yes, thank you, Scott. That was the old one. Do you want to Jellyfin remember White Castle pays 1850? Okay, so that is all the donations. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And this comment is from XPX Labs. He says, "Hi, Jason. Have a good day." Thank you. I will. I included this because, hey, it's nice to have a refresh. I had one that says that you absolutely suck and you should, die in a fire. And this one's like, "Hi, Jason, have a nice day." So XPS Labs, I know that you've been through some things, movings and limited resources, but I have seen your channel, start to grow. So, hey, congratulations. Keep on keeping on. And thank you for the positive reinforcement. I definitely appreciate it. So if you guys haven't watched any of his videos, I would just Google it, check it out. I gotta be honest, I probably haven't watched most of his videos. I'm just saying I have seen him grow. So check that out. The next one is from Montana Schneider. He says, what's the trick to speed up Unraid? Did I talk about this? Did I already say this? Unraid in general? Or no, I talked about speeding up Plex on Unraid, I think. The trick to speeding up Unraid, one, buy the most expensive CPU you possibly get, because that'll help you a little bit. Also, that was a somewhat sarcastic answer. Two, when it comes to your parity drives are key. Try to make those maybe 7200, maybe faster spinning hard drives if you can. In the limited testing I've done, it's helped a little bit, but it's not a huge deal. If you have your entire array set up with 7200 drives, however, that's the kicker, just because all the drives are running at faster speeds, which means Unraid's going to be able to write and access that file a lot faster. By nature, Unraid runs off a USB drive that loads the operating system into your RAM. So, you know, you can install it on SSD first of all, but there's nothing like that's going to really speed it up. What it really boils down to, like I said before, Unraid is not a speed operating system. It's not focused on speed. It's focused on getting the most amount of storage that you can get out of your hard drives. Like you can run 30 freaking drives with 2 parity drives. That's insane. ZFS, I don't know what ZFS limitations are, but they don't recommend 30 freaking drives. So yeah, it's more of a cold storage, slow moving. Go with that. Aside from the regular array, I would look into some things like cache drives. If you're going to run your Plex media server, you're going to run your Plex metadata, you're going to have cache drives. You could even do separate SSDs that are dedicated specifically to things like Plex, whatever else you use, virtual machines, Docker containers, whatever. So you can add more hardware that's going to put faster access to some of the things that you really want to get the speed out of. But if you're just copying data to the Unraid thing, you're just probably not going to have a great time. Here's one thing that I will know, or I will take a note of, and I will try to give you a little bit of advice on. Initial Unraid setup and I say this, if you have a very large file dump that you know is going to take a very long amount of time, you do have the ability to recreate your hard drive configuration. Like you can do a new configuration, keep all the hard drives and everything, but you can remove the parity drives. If you do that, you are kind of YOLOing it a little bit and hoping nothing fails during the process. But let's say you have a 100 terabyte system and you literally need to dump 20 terabytes worth of data onto it. If you just do a new config, save your hard drives, remove those parity drives, dump all of your files to it, you're going to get the right speed of each individual drive without being hindered by calculating and writing to the parity drives. If you do that, once all of the information is copied over and then re-add your parity drive and or parity drives, it will rebuild in the background and you don't have to wait for those files to copy over. So again, a bunch of variables here. Pick what you want to speed up, but that should give you a good starting point for what you're asking. Anything in here? What do we got? Slap-a-ho. What's the oldest NUC? Already got that. Yeah, that's all I have right there. So next question is from Viet Lee. 100% in agreement with Jason, H.265. I have media that is almost impossible to find now. I am not going to compromise quality to save file size. That's fair. Even though sometimes it can be significant depending on the file size, I do acknowledge that there is some quality difference. Also the compatibility thing. H.265 in my experience is only good for cartoons / anime because there is less variety in colors. done H.265 in movie every once in a while and seen pixel discrepancies on screen mid-view, and it irks me. I don't know. I've used H.265 and I've obviously looking at it, I've definitely seen, you know, a difference in quality. It's not something that you can ignore, but it's not extreme. It's not something that really stands out. So when it comes to that aspect of it, it's really hard to justify, I mean, getting the absolute best pixel quality out of every single pixel on the screen. But hey, to each their own. My argument with H.265 is compatibility. Yes, it's being more widely acceptable and adapted by other devices, but you still run into compatibility issues where it has to convert it over to H.264, and they're just, in my experience, it's just not ready. It's going to be ready at some point. It's just not ready. If you want the most optimal, compatible format and you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of space to do it, H.264 is still the gold standard. And that is all of the questions. I don't know how long have I been streaming? This is good. I've only been streaming an hour. I told my mod team, Liquid, yeah, you're still here. I told my mod team I was going to try to make this like an hour, so that's cool. Before I wrap this up, I will go through some of these questions that are not donations and see if there's anything to add to this. H.265 is what almost all UHD 4K content is. Just saying, absolutely. But people are still trying to adopt H.265 into 1080p content just to save some space. So comment valid, aka, but also not 100% true. FBI Steve says, when you going to deep dive into Home Assistant? I don't have that on the radar right now. I just use MeROS, and I originally tried to set up Home Assistant. 5 minutes of my life was dedicated to trying to set up Home Assistant, and I lost interest in it. So definitely like behind the back burner when it comes to something like that. Best way to speed up Plex and make sure everything's a lot more snappy when adding metadata in the Docker into an NVMe, as well as doing RAM transcoding. I said that cache drives really help with VMs. Absolutely. Unraid needs cache drives, and they now allow multiple pools of cache drives. When that first came out, I tested it, and it acted kind of funny. I haven't tested it since. So I'm going to have to readdress that because I'm sure they've made some changes that actually is going to be better. So, what else we got? White Castle pays $18.50 an hour for managers around me. Yeah, so if you can make $18 an hour and you take less than half an hour to fix something with Jellyfin or configure something or remote fucking tech support somebody, like how much is your time worth when it comes to convenience? So yeah, $5 a month isn't that bad. J1 Jellyfish, Mr. TV. I think that catches me up. .avi for the win. No, go back to your cave. Liquid, you were 90. Have you had any problems with bit rot? On the drives? Actually, yes. Funny enough. I don't know if I ever brought this up or not, but what was it? House. I had issues with the TV show House. That was stored for so long, not accessed for so long, that I legitimately had to redo those files in order to be able to watch it because I was running into issues. And I know that those files worked before because I've watched them before. So I have had issues with bit rot. I didn't know the best way to fix it except from just replacing the file, which made me kind of go down this rabbit hole. Like, what do I need to do? Do I need to do more parity checks? Like, I do parity checks automatically once a month, but I have had that one experience. I fixed it by replacing it, and I would love to know if other people have had that same issues, because if you have kind of like an archived TV show that you don't watch that often, that would really kind of suck, like to just go out. So, yeah. Does Unraid do scrubs? I don't think Unraid does scrubs like TrueNAS. Honestly. Okay, I'm gonna have to admit, when it comes to scrubs, I know that you can scrub through a tree. I really don't fully have all the information on that, so I might be talking on my ass. But as far as I know, aside from doing a parity check, and that parity check action or automatically writing corrections to the array as it finds it, which might be considered a scrub, I don't know if it's the same thing. So I could be completely wrong on that. Repeat the shield, ATV, 78 old products, still kicking ass. Okay, so that pretty much wraps it up since I am out of questions. That handles all of the questions. I've spent an hour doing the live stream, which is considerably less time than what I would have spent actually recording these videos, editing these videos, and uploading these videos. And since I am so limited on time right now, it is absolutely nice to just only get this done within an hour. Aside from just hooking up a monitor and, you know, testing it. Obviously, my starting was a little flawed. I probably should have tested a little bit better, but it was definitely nice getting in there. I wanted to say thank you, everybody, for donating. That was definitely very much appreciative. I'm sorry I'm not getting white girl wasted tonight, but I got to take it a little bit easy. Just the whole old stomach thing, want to be productive tomorrow, and dealing with the excessive amounts of requests coming from the wife's lawyer, which is literally called out as just a way to have one person that has way more resources than another to bury the other person in overwhelming lawyer cost just to address the request, which is kind of a shady fucking tactic, actually, now that I think about it. So, been super backed up. It is what it is. Do you guys have any other questions, comments, or concerns before I end this stream? You guys got 60 seconds. I should get a cushion for that chair. No. I have a cushion. I've tried a cushion. So a cushion would push me up like this. Like I don't like a cushion. It's probably a thing, but I don't like it. I've tried it on other chairs. I went through a big office chair replacement thing for a long time. I had somebody literally just recommend this cushion. And it's okay, but it's not the same thing. So Jason's in Deborah's prison. Show up. Blacklist. Kind of lost stream for crap. Okay, well, that's it. Guys, have any other questions, comments, or concerns that you want the absolute best chance of being featured on next month's Jason Bytes Back? I say that loosely because realistically, maybe not so much. Realistically, not so much. But make sure to leave it in the comments section down below. And I realize that for every Jason Bytes Back video, I always list all of my Patreon subscribers at the end of it. And since I'm doing a live stream, I'm not doing the editing. I don't have the ability to go through those. So let's see if I can access. Let's see if I can access this freaking stupid thing. Total patrons, new patrons. Nope. Very very limited information on the Patreon app. That is disheartening. You would think that it would be better. God, the Patreon app sucks. Like, it really does suck. Okay. I was going to try to go through and just like verbally name some of them. So I know I got a lot of long-termers, $10, $20 from Josh. I know I got. That really sucks. I have absolutely no way to access the Patreon subscribers, so I can't even read them off verbally. So I do apologize to all the Patreon subscribers that are normally listed at the end of the video. Big Spoon, $1.49. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, and have yourself a good day. Also, super surprised I haven't been attacked by cat and dog this entire time. So, thank you.